This is Newsbeat from OU Daily. I'm Peggy Dodd.
I'm Megan Pratt.
And here's your weekly headlines. Starting with campus news, around 150 students walked out of classes on Wednesday morning in support of Palestine. The march supported Palestinian liberation from Israel and opposed the Israeli occupation of the territory. The walkout was held by the OU Student Coalition for Palestinian Liberation. That organization seeks to build solidarity between the OU community and the Palestinian cause. This march was just one across the nation that demanded ceasing all support for Israeli weapon manufacturing. Here's some audio and video shot by OU Daily staffers.
Editor's note. At the request of the organizers of Student Coalition for Palestinian Liberation, OU Daily prioritized photos and videos that did not include discernible faces for the safety of individuals attending the walkout.
Israel, Israel, let them see.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Israel, Israel, you can hide.
Israel, Israel, you can hide.
You are committing genocide.
You are committing genocide.
The trail of pain and devastation each person leaves behind them is unimaginable. Never forget that. Now is not the time to say that you don't know enough. So too long that if you don't have perfect, well-articulated rebuttals to their talking points, then you shouldn't speak up at all. You should not need to be an expert to condemn a genocide. Continue speaking for Palestine. Continue watching what is happening on the ground in Gaza and in the West Bank. Continue learning. Continue demanding for a ceasefire. And continue the demand of a liberated Palestine. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
The group also came with a list of demands for OU President Joseph Harris Jr. From Harris, the group wants a statement about the crimes against Palestinians that expresses solidarity with Palestinian members of the OU community. Further, the group wants the university to teach the history of Israel and Palestine at OU and create classes dedicated to Palestine taught by Palestinian professors. The coalition called for the defunding of study abroad trips to Israel and cutting ties with those universities. They asked that Harris also cut ties with companies that manufacture weapons or provide funding to Israel.
Lastly, the group called for mental health support for Palestinian students, faculty, and staff by specialized Arab healthcare providers. The group also had a list of demands for U.S. President Joe Biden. To hear those and read more of the Daily's coverage of the Israel-Hamas war and this march, visit oudaily.com.
Looking now to the OU Student Government Association, the SGA held a debate regarding the race for president and vice president. The first ticket includes Community Health Junior Shrey Kathuria for president and Public Relations Junior Anaketh Conneru for vice president. The other ticket has Business Management Junior Caden Glasscock for president and Business Healthcare Senior Cyrus Mortazavi for vice president.
At the debate, Glasscock emphasized his plan to increase transparency about what is happening on campus for students, especially as OU moves into the Southeastern Conference. Here's Glasscock.
And a big thing also is we have a bunch of RSOs who don't actually know who is funding them, and so we just want to make sure they know who's funding them, how we can fund them more, and also just when we go to the SEC, we need to be very prepared. Due to the lack of transparency, I do not think we're that prepared.
His running mate, Mortazavi, explained the pair's plan to lead students into the SEC further during the vice presidential section of the forum. Here's Mortazavi.
The biggest way we can learn to adapt to the SEC is by learning from the SEC. Kate and I are wanting to host regular meetings with student and faculty leaders from other SEC schools, which will allow us to be ahead of the game.
During the opening statement for the vice presidential forum, Conneru talked about what being in that position could mean to him, once thinking of himself as someone shy and unsure about his run. Here's Conneru.
Then I had a change of heart. I thought about what the vice president position actually does and what it entails, and it's about doing the work for the students.
Kathuria ended the presidential forum with a passionate message to voters still undecided about who to vote on. Here's Kathuria.
Vote for who you believe is the most passionate. Vote for the one who you believe has that drive to make that change. Vote for the one who you believe will win for OU students. Vote for the person who you think can lead us to the SEC. Vote for the person who you can trust. Vote for the person who you know you can rely on, especially when the going gets tough.
Students can vote for SGA president and vice president using Engage from October 31st through November 1st.
Switching now to Norman news, the newest update to the school resource officer debate came last week. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office and the Cleveland County Commissioners funded 17 officers for all of Norman Public Schools' elementary school sites. That came after the City Council voted to postpone a vote to allocate over $900,000 toward 4 additional officers.
NPS Superintendent Nick Migliorino and Professional Educators of Norman President Adrian Hall wrote a letter to educators and families. That letter said that they had met with every council member, school board leader, and Cleveland County Sheriff Chris Amison to discuss the program. Migliorino and Hall said a vote on the original $900,000 proposal will still happen at an upcoming council meeting. An exact date was not listed in that letter. For a history behind the school resource officer discussion in Norman and more about the future of the new 17 officers, visit oudaily.com.
City leaders celebrated the halfway point of the 15-year Norman Forward initiative last week. The initiative passed in 2014 with 72% of residents voting in favor of the program. At that meeting, Scott Martin, president and CEO of the Norman Chamber of Commerce, said the initiative was meant to serve the community. Here's Martin.
We're halfway there, which means we have a long ways to go because we're going to come up with new visions, new dreams, new expectations for our community. Some of those are already floating about, which I think is fantastic. But it's time now for us to come together, envision, and dream about what Norman Forward 2 could be. It's never too early to start deciding and creating those dreams and aspirations.
One Norman Forward project, the Adult Wellness Education Center, is expected to open to the public next month. Other projects include the Griffin Community Project, Restwood Family Aquatic Center, and the Norman Public Library East location.
At Tuesday's City Council meeting, members put a final stamp of approval on a Hal Smith restaurant at the northeast corner of Lindsay Street and Berry Road. This approval makes the entire intersection, sometimes referred to as the gateway to OU, completely zoned for commercial use. The property has appeared before council twice before with several protests from neighbors. This time, neighbors were really only concerned about traffic. However, a city staff report said there will be a minimal effect to traffic if the restaurant is built. Traffic engineering consultants also sent a memo to council detailing a traffic analysis.
Council also postponed a vote on the creation of an ad hoc steering committee for AIM Norman, the city's next comprehensive plan. The Area and Infrastructure Master Plan, or AIM, will cover the next 20 years for the city. Elizabeth McKinney, wife of Norman Economic Development Coalition President and CEO Lawrence McKinney, is set to serve as chair. McKinney, in her role as chair, asked Ward 4 Councilmember Helen Grant, who motioned for postponement, why they made that call. Here's McKinney.
I'm a little bit concerned and questioning why we're postponing this. This will be the third, potentially fourth time we are postponing. We are paying over $2.7 million. We hired experts to guide us through this process. So just wondering why that there is a postponement and what's the result of that? What do you hope to occur with that?
Grant said they made a, quote, diplomatic choice to allow more time to smooth things out. McKinney expressed frustration towards the decision. Here's McKinney again.
It's causing some real issues with the steering committee, credibility. You guys hired somebody, $2.7 million. What are we doing? Why are we not listening to the experts here? The comp plan that was passed in 2004, I believe, is about to expire. So I'm just wondering why that this kind of behavior continues. That's it.
The vote was postponed until the November 14th council meeting. Before the meeting, Mayor Larry Heikkila told OU Daily he will no longer be making changes to public comment. At the October 3rd study session, council had discussed limiting comment to 30 minutes and moving it to the beginning of the meeting.
The Norman Police Department began extra patrols around OU's Delta 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 sorority after a call on October 14th reported a suspicious person leaving strange items at the house. According to a police report, the suspect was arrested for an unrelated aggravated assault incident. The Daily opted to not publish the man's name as he is yet to be formally charged. The National Organization of Tri Delta told OU Daily they are grateful for NPD's efforts.
Last weekend, OU celebrated its annual homecoming, complete with a win against UCF. To see our best videos and photos from the updated parade, Raw Rally, and the game, check out OUDaily.com and click on the Multimedia tab. Let's look at the Daily's calendar for coming events this week. On Friday night, OU's men's tennis plays in the Norman Open, and the Day of the Dead Street Festival takes place in the Oklahoma Memorial Union. On Saturday, OU's men's tennis continues their games. OU soccer plays in the Big 12 Championship, and OU football plays Kansas in Lawrence. The Gender and Equality Center will also host the LGBTQ plus History Month brunch in the Oklahoma Memorial Union.
The Daily's calendar of events is filling up. The calendar tab on our website features campus, city, and statewide events. Thanks for listening to Newsbeat from OU Daily. This is the Daily's weekly news podcast. New episodes of Newsbeat will air every Friday. Each episode will give you a short recap of what happened on campus and across Norman that week. Be on the watch for longer special editions about each of our print productions. During those episodes, you'll get a behind-the-scenes look at articles and hear from reporters about their stories before you pick up your copy.
In the meantime, keep up with us throughout the week on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at The OU Daily, and on our website at OUDaily.com. Sports fans, check out the OU Daily Sports Podcast. Hear the latest in OU sports and commentary from sports editor Colton Sully and assistant sports editors Jason Patacchio and Lewis Razor. You can find that on YouTube, Spotify, and OUDaily.com.
If you'd like to read more about the stories you heard on this podcast, you can find those and more online. My name is Megan Pratt. I'm a news reporter here at The Daily.
My name is Peggy Dodd. I'm a news editor here at The Daily, and we'll see you next week here on the Newsbeat.